people are getting fatter. Both men and women are continuing to get fatter. And as Preeti touched on earlier, simply being fat multiplies your risk of anything else happening bad. I mean, most things. And so if you're, and a lot of these disruptors, I do believe, get stored in fat cells. So the more and larger fat cells that you have, the more your body is going to hold on to these toxins. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean be 0% body fat either, because there are hormonal implications to being 0% body fat. Maybe a little bit more for women, but it's also not good for men either to have too low body fat. That's not a problem for 99.5% of people. But, if you have visible abs, you probably don't need to lose more body fat to ensure that at least your body fat is optimized for hormonal health. Seed oils will likely raise inflammation. Carbs can raise inflammation. I think particularly if they come from GMO foods that have been sprayed with Monsanto's glyphosate, which I think most carbs in the United States have. And I can't imagine glyphosate, which is a known carcinogen, has anything positive to do with your endocrine system. And so I do think there's those things that exist. I also think, unfortunately, that since we introduced birth control to the modern environment, it's really, really hard to remove all traces of that from the water supply. So even if I'm careful about my environment, I'm using natural products, I'm not fat, I'm checking the boxes that can sensibly be checked. I'm still drinking water, and that water has likely been contaminated to some extent by birth control metabolites. And so, I don't want to go too far down the Alex Jones rabbit hole here, but even before he said it, the Telegraph, I believe it was the Telegraph in the UK, one of their major publications, ran an article about hermaphroditic frogs that started to pop up in large quantities around certain areas. And I think it was speculated that, or more than speculated, that birth control contaminants in the water supply were likely leading to this. And so people can say, that's really interesting. These frogs are changing. Well, it's like, guess what? We're all animals. Animals all have, endocrine systems, as far as I'm aware, at least quasi-sophisticated ones. And so, if there's something that is causing known damage to frogs that's turning them hermaphroditic, what's the likelihood that there's zero transferability into humans? And I think that likelihood is not that high. I think there probably is some degree of carryover there. And so, what can you do in your environment? I think avoiding seed oils, and for most people restricting carbs, is a great idea. But more so because that's likely to limit inflammation, and it's likely to keep body fat a little bit lower. And so, if we can keep in mind that your fat cells are going to be the things that are holding on to a lot of these toxins, at the very least, what we can do is minimize uncontrolled expansion and growth of the fat cells that you might have.